rocks. Guys, is this not heaven?
Please write me for cry. Please write me for 5 for Dad's videos. Thank you. Have a great day.
We picked up where we left off from our last episode. After running the White Room Trail, we woke up at the Marriott Hotel on the outskirts of MOAB. After a delicious breakfast at the downstairs buffet, we ended up running to get some fuel at this 24-hour express fuel station. This place is open 24 hours a day. It's right on the outskirts of MOAB, so you don't have to go into downtown. Unfortunately, there's no convenience store to run in and get food or ice. You just get gas and go. After gassing up, we headed down Highway 128 east out of MOAB. 128 is a beautiful and very scenic road that runs into MOAB and goes all the way out to Interstate 70. The way through here is very scenic. It runs along the Colorado River, and you're greeted with these beautiful cliffs every turn you take. Pretty soon, if you're driving from MOAB, on the right you'll see a sign for Onion Creek Trail. So pull off on the gravel on the right up here, and you'll run into a couple of camping grounds that would be nice to stay at if it wasn't 100 degrees outside this weekend. But pull off here and air down and just check out the scenery. It just keeps better and better as you drive into this canyon ahead. Alright guys, we're back at Onion Creek in MOAB. Look at these views behind me. We got mountains and snow-capped mountains in the background, and this is one of the most prettiest trails in MOAB. And we're gonna go run it today. Onion Creek is rated a 2 out of 10 by Trails Off-Road for its difficulty, 10 being extremely hard, 1 being extremely easy. They rated it a 2 because of some slight washouts and a moderate little hill climb I'll show you here at the end. But all in all, it's definitely worth it. It is a very scenic route that, again, is really easy. And there's lots of water crossings. It was extremely dry out this week, but as you can see from the video, you still cross this creek like 20 times. The creek is kind of stinky. They don't call it Onion Creek, you know, because of any flower smell. But it's definitely one of the to-do trails in the MOAB area. All the rock formations and the contrast is what give this trail its beauty, and that's why everyone wants to do it. So keep this in mind. You're going to do approximately 1,500 foot elevation change. That's quite a lot. You're going to basically end up in Fisher Valley, where you have the option of connecting to a very difficult trail called Rose Garden Hill, and that leads up to the Top of the World Trail. Or you can do what I did and take Thompson Canyon out and loop that around back to MOAB. And that's the route we ended up doing. There are technically 27 creek crossings on this trail. It's very important that you don't go off the main road. There's some steep fines if you're caught doing that, and you don't want to tear it up, you know, for the rest of us. The view of Fisher Towers can be enjoyed from Highway 128, where you turn in but you can't really appreciate the size of the towers without getting close up to it on this trail. Again, this is a pretty easy trail. 2-wheel drive with high clearance is okay. 4-wheel drive may be needed after a storm. It's slippery when wet at the end as you climb out of the canyon. And usually the creek is like this, a trickle, but can get very deep after heavy rains. Flash floods and road washouts are possible. Onion Creek is about 9.5 miles one way, and Fisher Towers is 2.1 miles one way. Just allow a couple of hours to drive, plus the additional time for stops. The best time to come here is March through November. Again, here in the summer, it got really hot. A good note is to take every 3 to 4 days and either get a hotel or have a rest day every 3 to 4 days just to reset your gear and to relax and kind of enjoy it. My friends and I are known to just run and gun the entire time to see all what we can see. In places like this, you need to rest every couple of days because it is a lot of work driving. Another pro tip is to drink plenty of water, especially on hot days like this. It's not so much the heat outside, it's the AC system in your vehicle. So if you ever notice when you're sitting in a parking spot and all that water dripping down out of your car, so what the AC system essentially is sucking all the moisture out of your car, and that includes sucking all the moisture out of you. So you'll get dehydrated pretty quick, and drink lots of water when you're out overlanding or doing extended travel in your car with the AC on. That's one thing I've started noticing in the last year or two, is to drink plenty of water while traveling, because that AC system will dry you out quick. Like the White Rim Trail, I air down to 15 psi on this trail, and that low tire pressure along with the new AEV 8100 bypass shocks, the Jeep handled all this rough terrain really well. I'm very impressed with the suspension setup I have on the EcoDiesel Jeep right now. James is really enjoying all these water crossings, kind of giggling after them all. But we ended up running into a yellow Jeeper, and he stopped us and asked for directions. Apparently he was looking for the Top of the World Trail. And at the time I didn't know that Rose Garden Hill at the end of the trail up here was an actual way up to Top of the World Trail. So I did tell him to go back out to 128 and take that to the old bridge, and that's where I started the Top of the World Trail last year, and I explained to him that. For a second I thought about joining him, and if I actually knew that Rose Garden Hill was a way up there, I probably would have invited him to tag along and we could tackle Rose Garden Hill up to Top of the World Trail. I just didn't want to do it by myself. This is what trails off-road consider the steep hill climb. Of course, the camera never does it justice, but this was a pretty steep incline, and then there was another section right here where you had another steep incline. If it's dry outside, it should not be a problem, but if it's wet, this mud turns into peanut butter really quick. Super, super slick. As you exit the canyon of Onion Creek, you come up into Fisher Valley. As you look off to the left, you can barely see the top of the world Poser Rock up there, juttering off the cliffside. So from here, you want to continue straight. We're going to go down this spur road right here that leads to a smaller network of trails with some camping spots. This is a good spot to turn around if you're just doing Onion Creek. But this trail technically goes another 1.8 miles connecting to Rose Garden Hill and Thompson Canyon. So we're going to go down this little spur road. We're going to turn back around and head over to Thompson Canyon. But I want to say there's a trail off to the left right here of Rose Garden Hill, which leads up there to Poser Rock on top of the World Trail. But there are two really, really nice campsites right over here that I wish we did last year when we first got to MOAB. Instead, we turned around.
This is the end of Onion Creek Road. It dumps out into this beautiful meadow plateau. Top of the world, way up there. This is, I believe, Rose Garden Trail. It's rated as a very difficult, and that goes around to the top of the world. We're going to turn around and take Thompson Canyon back into MOAB and probably have lunch and then start on the rim rocker. But if I had someone with me, I'd go do that trail because I saw a stock Rubicon do it. He had trouble, but he did it. And we're on 37s, but we got weight though. You mining for gold, dude?
We ended up exploring a little spur trail that led back to even another really, really nice camping site. There's a little bit of an off camber in some sections to get to this area, and we did get a little bit more pinstriping, but it was definitely worth it. It's an extremely nice campsite back in here.
Guys, is this not heaven? I found this epic campsite off the beaten path on BLM land. There's a little walkway that goes up there to get on top of that ridge. We got a big rock formation to check out, then all that meadow out there. You got a cowboy camp. You're blocked from the wind, and you get to wake up to this. It'd be awesome to see the sunset here. I mean, so to get to this, you're gonna take Onion Creek Trail and then turn left right before the end. And then this is technically Rose Garden Hill Trail over here that goes up to the top of the world. So you can loop that into the top of the world trail. We're going back out and taking Thompson Canyon out because Rose Garden Hill is a 6 or a 7 difficulty, and you know, I'm alone this trip, so I'm not going to risk it, but we definitely are coming back and looping this in. This is an awesome site.
The drive out was even more spectacular with the different scenery. It almost made me want to run Onion Creek again going back out, just because the view would be completely different than what it was coming in. Again, we had to do some of the technical stuff to get back out of the campsite, but with this view, it was definitely worth doing it again. Even worth the extra pinstripes. So from here, we're going to head out to Thompson Canyon, and we got a little bit of a technical area coming up where we ended up having to back down a switchback to do it safely, as there was some extreme off camber, and that combined with the long wheelbase of the Gladiator, we kind of had to sit there and stew on it for a minute before we decided to do it. We actually ended up thinking about turning around. I didn't want to risk it with just me being there alone, but every now and then you gotta think outside the box and just say, hey, what if we backed down this trail? Once we reach the top of this gate up here on the right, we're going to enter Thompson Canyon. Now, this is one of the less traveled routes, but it routes you all the way back into MOAB. It's got some really cool views, but it's also very long. It took us maybe another 1 to 2 hours from this point to get into MOAB, but we did get to stop and look at some dinosaurs. So you're going to climb this hill right here, and there's a gate. So this gate enters Thompson Canyon. You're going to be greeted right away with some switchbacks. So I had to cut a lot of this out, but I ended up having to... at first I attempted to just make this right-hand turn right here, but this is extremely steep and off-camber to the right descent. So I came down to this, and I sat there for a couple of minutes, got out, walked it, and decided that if I pull straight up to the left and then back down it, the camber section right there wouldn't be that bad at all. So that's what we ended up doing. I ended up just backing down this, and it made it a lot more safe than just trying to attempt that right-hand down turn. So this is Thompson Canyon. It's also rated as an easy, except for that part right there. If you're here in the winter months, there's still lingering snow in the spring. And with that and the wet conditions, it could be a little bit more sketchy. Trails Off-Road recommends stock high clearance 4x4. It's about 27 miles. You're going to add 9 miles to this if you're factoring in Onion Creek, and you're about 18.5 miles to the exit. They say 4 to 6 hours. I believe I did it in about an hour and a half to 2 hours from this point. And again, the highest point on this trail is about 8,000 feet. So that's still taller than anything in the Carolinas or the Southeast where I'm from. Again, the best time to do this, just like Onion Creek, is mid-April through mid-October. This trail really has some pretty views. It also has a couple of campsites along it, as you'll see. You'll notice some very tall, steep hill climbs. We also noticed more prevalent later on that a lot of the rock was actually graded away or blown away by some type of machine, which we later found out there was a bunch of nice sidetrack mines on the left up here with a beautiful overlook, as well as awesome rock formation with a mine up top. Definitely need to come back and explore this area. This trail seemed to go on forever, and I was a little bit nervous because I didn't expect it to be so technical per se. It wasn't hard by any means, but it was definitely hard to judge the distance and the speed. But I knew it ended up out in MOAB, so we decided to keep at it, as going back through Onion Creek and back up that switchback would have been more of a difficulty. This rock formation in front of me is an actual mine up there that you can drive around to up here, but we didn't have time to go explore it, so we ended up taking this well-maintained gravel road all the way up a mountain to an awesome overlook where James got super excited when we found out why we were up here.
Old Canyon Dinosaur Tracks Overlook. The short trail leads to a spectacular view and several dinosaur tracks. Alright, so we're right here. You are here, Dinosaur Track Trail. Don't touch the rocks. Leave no trace. Alright, we're at 9,000 feet. Looks like it's over there.
What's that?
More dinosaur tracks. Look at that track.
What are these kind?
Let's go look at the map.
What are these kind of footprints are? Look!
Yep.
It says it right here. Tell me.
It says not to step in them. It doesn't say what kind of dinosaur.
After checking out the dinosaur tracks, we had a long descent back into MOAB, where we kept running into these skid loaders bringing up all these construction vehicles. If anyone knows what those vehicles are for and why they're towing them up like that, drop a comment. We saw quite a few of them. This road finally led us back down to 128, where the road that we came into Onion Creek Trail on. So we hung a left on 128 and headed to downtown MOAB. At this point, it was about 11:30, and man, we were hungry for some food. Sir William Goes recommended a certain local spot for us so we headed to downtown Moab to check out. Milts is on the far end of Moab by the Sand Hills recreational area, where you'll find Hell's Revenge, Fins and Things, and definitely try the bacon cheeseburger. And James got a hot dog, and we both had ice cream. This pretty much wraps it up for this week's video. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Next week, we start the Rim Rocker Trail. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my Patreon, and we'll see you next week.
Look at that. Oh man. We got our first gate here. No worries though. Excuse me. You know where I can get a good steak around here? Like steak? You know where I can get a good steak around here? Is it this way to Colorado? Hey, don't walk away from me, dude. I'm trying to ask you a question, all right? Is it that way to Colorado? Do you know? Do you guys know? All right, bye.
Tata!